There's a game being played with your paycheck, and you're not sitting at the table. Every 2 weeks, money hits your account. You pay rent, you buy groceries, you cover the electric bill. Maybe you save a little, maybe you don't. Then you do it again and again. The loop continues. But here's what most people never stop to notice. While you're running that loop, someone else is collecting from it. Not once, not twice, every single time the money moves. This isn't a conspiracy, it's a design. And the strange part, the system doesn't hide itself. It operates in plain sight. It just counts on you being too tired, too busy, or too distracted to see how it actually works. Let's start with something simple, your paycheck. Say you make $60,000 a year, decent middle-class income in most of America. Before you even touch that money, chunks disappear. Federal tax, state tax, Social Security, Medicare, health insurance, retirement contribution if you're lucky enough to have one. You're left with maybe 70% of what you earned. Call it $42,000 after everything. That's your take-home. That's what actually lands in your checking account. Now the loop begins. You pay rent. Let's say $1,500 a month, $18,000 a year. That's almost half your take-home gone. Your landlord collects. If they have a mortgage, the bank collects interest. If they own the property outright, they're building equity while you're building a receipt. You're not owning anything. You're renting the right to exist somewhere. Next, your car. Let's say you financed it, $400 a month. Over 5 years, you'll pay $24,000 for a car that depreciates the moment you drive it off the lot. The bank collects interest on that loan. The insurance company collects premiums. The gas station collects every week. The maintenance shop collects when something breaks. And it will break. You're not just paying for the car, you're paying for the access to work. Because without the car, you can't get to the job. And without the job, you can't pay for the car. See the loop? Now let's talk about the stuff that doesn't feel like a loop, but absolutely is. Your phone bill, $80 a month, Spotify, Netflix, that app subscription you forgot you signed up for 8 months ago. They all collect small amounts, automatic payments. You barely notice, except you do notice because by the 15th of the month, your account is lighter than it should be. You're not broke, but you're not comfortable either. You're in that strange middle space where you have money, but you don't really have money. So maybe you use the credit card just to smooth things out, just until next paycheck. And now the loop has another player. The credit card company collects interest, 17%, 23%, 29% if you missed a payment once. They're not lending you money out of generosity, they're renting it to you. And the rent never stops. Here's the math most people don't do. If you carry a $3,000 balance at 20% interest and only make minimum payments, you'll spend over 8 years paying it off. You'll pay nearly $3,000 in interest alone. You'll pay double for everything you already bought. Let's zoom out. You're working 40, maybe 50 hours a week. You're productive, you're contributing, you're doing everything you're supposed to do. And yet at the end of the month, the money's gone. Not because you're reckless, not because you're lazy, because the loop is designed to drain at the same rate you fill it. You're not failing, you're just playing a game where the rules are written by the people who collect. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. The system doesn't need you to get ahead, it needs you to stay in motion. Think about it. If you paid off your car, the bank loses. If you paid off your credit card, the credit card company loses. If you stopped renting and bought a house outright, the mortgage industry loses. If you canceled subscriptions and stopped consuming, a dozen companies lose. The economy doesn't grow when you stop spending. It grows when you keep spending, preferably on credit, preferably forever. You're not a participant in this system. You're the fuel. And the wild part? The people collecting from your loop aren't working harder than you. They're just positioned differently. They own the infrastructure you pay to use. The apartment, the loan, the software, the platform. They collect while they sleep. You collect while you work. Let's look at who's actually winning this game. In 2023, the average American household carried about $105,000 in debt. Mortgages, car loans, student loans, credit cards, medical bills. The interest alone on that debt runs into the thousands per year. Meanwhile, the financial sector, the banks, the lenders, the credit card companies, posted record profits. We're talking hundreds of billions, not revenue, profit. They're not making money by building things or creating value. They're making money by sitting between you and your own purchasing power. Every swipe, every payment, every transaction, they're there, collecting. It's not illegal. It's not even unethical in the traditional sense. It's just efficient for them. Now, here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. The loop doesn't just drain your money, it drains your time. Because when you're stuck in the loop, you can't take risks. You can't quit the job that's killing you. You can't start the business you've been thinking about. You can't move to a new city or take 6 months off to figure out what you actually want. You're locked in, not by chains, by payments. The rent is due, the car note is due, the credit card minimum is due. So you stay, you keep working, you keep running the loop. And the longer you stay in it, the harder it becomes to imagine a way out. Some people do escape, but let's be honest about how. They inherit money, they get lucky with a startup or a stock, they marry someone with wealth, they already had a safety net that let them take risks without falling into disaster. Very few people grind their way out by just working harder, because the loop doesn't reward hard work, it rewards ownership. And ownership requires capital most people don't have. You can work 60 hours a week and still lose ground if your rent goes up, your car breaks down, and your health insurance deductible resets. Here's the irony. The advice you hear is always the same. Budget better, save more, cut out the lattes, invest early, build passive income. And sure, those things help on the margins, but they don't change the structure. They don't stop the loop. They just make it slightly more bearable. Because the loop isn't a personal finance problem, it's a design problem. It's built into rent-seeking behavior, it's built into interest rates, it's built into subscription models and planned obsolescence and wage stagnation. It's built into a system where productivity has skyrocketed over 50 years, but wages have barely moved. The wealth got created, it just didn't flow to the people doing the creating. Let's put a number on it. Between 1979 and 2020, productivity in the US grew by 61%. That means workers were producing way more value per hour than they used to. But wages for the bottom 90%, they grew by about 17%. The gap between what you produce and what you get paid, that gap got wider. And the difference didn't vanish. It went somewhere. It went to the people collecting from the loop. Shareholders, executives, landlords, investors, the ones who own the infrastructure you pay to use. They didn't work harder, they just owned the infrastructure. Now here's the question nobody wants to ask. What happens when more people realize they are in the loop? Not in a vague philosophical way, in a concrete, math it out on a spreadsheet way. What happens when a generation of people figures out that buying a house isn't realistic, that retirement accounts won't cover the cost of living in 30 years, that upward mobility isn't a guarantee anymore, it's a statistical outlier? You get disillusionment, you get quiet quitting, you get people checking out of the system because the system stopped rewarding participation. And you can call that lazy, you can call it entitled, or you can call it rational. If the loop doesn't lead anywhere, why run faster? Here's the uncomfortable truth. The loop isn't going to fix itself because it's working exactly as intended for some people. You're not supposed to get rich working a 9 to 5. You're supposed to stay employed, stay consuming, stay in motion. The system doesn't need you wealthy, it needs you liquid. And the people collecting from the loop, they're fine with that because every month you pay rent, they collect. Every month you make a car payment, they collect. Every month you carry a balance, they collect. You keep running, they keep collecting. So where does that leave you? Maybe you find a way out. Maybe you buy assets instead of renting them. Maybe you build something that generates income while you sleep. Maybe you get lucky. Or maybe you just keep running the loop, doing the math in your head every 2 weeks, watching the money come in and go out, knowing that somewhere, someone's collecting. And the strangest part? They're counting on you not having time to think about it. Because if you stop long enough to see the design, you might stop playing the game altogether. And that's the one thing the loop can't afford.